So there's a small YouTube channel named Zyphalopagus. I don't remember his name, and I don't have a script ready either, so it's gonna be really hard for me to be talking about this subject. But I'll cut straight to the point. Zyphalopagus is allegedly exposed as a predator. What a surprise! Another Minecraft YouTuber being exposed as a predator. Who could have seen that coming? But the problem here is that, and by the way, I've looked at both sides. The problem here is that Zyph, he screwed himself over, basically. He screwed himself really badly. And I'll explain why in a little bit, but before I move on, I'm going to have to say, please don't go harassing the people involved in this video. That doesn't make you a better person. If you go out becoming a vigilante and stuff like that, you're not a better person by doing that. And also keep in mind, I am not a legal professional. I will be diving into law a little bit, but I am not a legal professional by any means. And if you have any questions, please consult your legal advisor or anyone helping you with the law whatsoever. Now, with that being said, I'll just explain a little bit. Apparently, Zyph was exposed, quote unquote, for dating a 13, 14-year-old. And he does admit that he did. But he explains it away, and initially it would make sense, right? Like, his explanation makes sense. But the more you look into it, and the more research you do, or at least the research that I've seen, at least, he admits to having an age of preference that would technically make him, not legally, he's not legally a pedophile by any means, but technically he would kind of be a pedophile. So, with that being said, before I move on, I'm just gonna say, I only looked at a little bit of evidence, and I only looked at his statements. So, I've looked at the Google Doc that had like a buttload of evidence against him, and then I looked at his entire statement. So I'm more inclined to be in favor of Zyph. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to be, because, he's cooked right here. His statement is so bad, and I have it all backed up too, by the way, so he can't really delete it. But anyways, I was actually involved in one of his videos at one point. So back in the time when he was doing like a fake Bed Wars floor prank where, you would get like planks and stuff like that, and you would match the map with the plank, and then you would build like a couple levels up, so that way when the enemy breaks into the fake bed defense, it's gonna be, like they're not gonna see a bed or anything like that, and, they'll be caught with their pants down. And I'll be showing the clip in the background right now. I was so confused. I called out hacks on him a while back, and my name actually used to be like Soulzix before I changed it to Willy Tato. And yeah, that was such a strange time. Like, at first, I was involved in one of arguably one of the biggest Hypixel Bed Wars YouTubers videos, because I was in his lobby by chance. But anyways, putting that aside, Zyph really screwed him over here. He really dipped his toes into lava, and he absolutely just incinerated himself here. So with that being said, I'll just talk about a few points. I'll be free handling this, so sorry if it sounds jarring or really rocky to listen to. I hope, this is just background noise and you're not actually listening to this. Otherwise, you're going to be hurt with the audio quality. But anyways, with that being said, let's just speedrun this bad boy. So there's a couple things that I want to point out real quick. First of all, he really screwed himself over, and I have my phone in front of my laptop right now. I'm scrolling through the entire thing and just rereading it all. And what I really want to point out are just a couple of things. So first of all, in this paragraph right here, he says, in May of 2018, while talking after recording a video for the channel, she asked me out. I had no knowledge of her lies and about her age, as I believed she was 17 and I was 19 at the time. From my perspective, we had communicated consistently for over a year while working on projects for videos together. We had similar gaming interests, and in most of our interactions up to this point, she had been extremely friendly, entertaining in videos, fun to be around, and valued my opinion, so I said yes. Which, first of all, you just got caught with your pants down. Second of all, you do realize that at this moment, I don't remember when exactly, I think it was 2020 when Zyph moved into, somewhere in Texas, where the age of consent is different there. I don't remember. I think it was either 16 or 18 or 7. I don't remember. It was one of those three ages. But he wasn't there at the time. He was in Arizona, and in Arizona, the age of consent is 18. And that's pretty bad for a numerous of reasons that we don't really need to talk about because, number one, age of consent is 18. You're technically a pedophile because, under 18 equals not okay. Over 18 equals okay. And there are Romeo and Juliet laws stating that, if they are 2 years apart, then that'll be okay, like 17 and 19-year-old, which it does state he was 19 at the time. And I'll show on screen right now if those calculations are correct, whether or not he was 19 or 20 at the time. If he was 20, he's completely cooked. If 19, he might be in the clear because of Romeo and Juliet laws, but she was 17, so underage, therefore bad. Second of all, you mentioned that she lives in Arizona. Her family is in Arizona, and you frequently go across the country to visit her family. That right there, you just cooked yourself. You have cooked yourself. Well done. Overcooked. You are burnt, fried, boiled, deep fried, salon, I don't know, something. Since you admit that you're crossing states, right? Because, if you're going from Arizona to Connecticut, you're crossing state lines. That means that's when federal law kicks in. Because normally, the age of consent would be in Arizona 18, and in Connecticut, I think it's like 16. And the problem with that is that, what if something happens in Arizona and Connecticut, like an online relationship, for example, not specific at all to this situation. What law would be applied? Because, there's two different laws. There's state laws and then there's federal laws. And if they come across two different states, then which state law kicks in? Well, according to my research, and I'm not a legal professional, so consult any legal professional if you have any actual questions regarding the law whatsoever. Apparently, none of those laws kick in. In fact, federal law kicks in. And guess what the age of consent for federal law is? That's right. It's 18. And I don't know if Romeo and Juliet laws kick in, so I'm going to have a screenshot of that posted right on the screen. If they do, then he might be in the clear. And if he's 20 and federal law says Romeo and Juliet laws are okay, then he's fine. But if any one of those, if any at all, are not good, then he's not good to go, and therefore we can call him a pedophile, allegedly, of course. And second of all, you mentioned multiple times that you meet up with her in person, you talk, you chill, whatever. First of all, if they were 13 or 14, wouldn't you be able to see it? Because, there is a huge difference between a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old, 19-year-old. They look very different, I can assure you that right now. The picture of the girl, I saw what she looked like. Let me tell you right now, that is not a 17-year-old by any means. That kid, honestly, not to be insulting in any way, but I did not believe at first that person was in double-digit age. That looks like an actual toddler. I'm not even joking, and I do not regret saying that at all. That looks like an actual kid. I have no clue how you would mistaken a kid for a 17-year-old, slightly older kid. But anyways, moving on from that point. On top of that, you mentioned that she's been manipulating you. You mentioned that she says, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna jump off a ledge. First of all, you are doing more harm than good by staying in the relationship, no matter what. No doubt about that, no shot. Even though her family was supporting her lies, once you found out that was a kid, you cut them off immediately. Because, let's face it, sure, maybe that kid would have gone through with their threats. Maybe that kid would have actually just jumped off the cliff if Zyph, this 19-year-old didn't date a 13-year-old. If they are in that mental state, number one, you are causing them more harm than good. Even though they kill themselves, you should not feel responsible for their safety whatsoever if they are a kid. That is not your kid. That is not your sister. That is not your cousin, nephew, niece, whatever. That is a random kid that you met online that draws pictures for your videos. You should not feel responsible whatsoever for that. And on top of that, you're letting yourself get manipulated by a kid at the end of the day. Even my ego is pretty big, I'll be honest with you guys. But my ego would not allow me to get manipulated by some kid telling themselves, I'm gonna jump off a cliff if you don't date me right now. No, I'm not gonna let that slide. And I'm just gonna say, okay, well then that is not my responsibility. Because if they are threatening their life just to date you, then that threat, I'll be honest with you, 99% of the time is not credible because, you know, that kid doesn't really... First of all, I don't think that kid would know how to kill themselves. And second of all, even if they did know how to kill themselves, it still shouldn't be your responsibility. You still shouldn't feel obligated to date them because they are a kid at the end of the day. And if you, an adult, is dating that kid, you are causing them more emotional harm by putting them in this sphere of responsibility of being in a relationship, if that makes sense. And kids are not ready for that yet. No matter what, I can guarantee you 95% of the time, and I leave that 5% out, so I'm adding like an extra 4%, but I'll explain that at like a different time. But anyways, 95% of the time, that kid is not, you know, ready for that responsibility. Furthermore, you admit to visiting her even after you said, oh, I found out that they are a kid. That is not good. You should have cut them off immediately. You found out that they were a kid. They are no longer your responsibility. Just face it. That is not a good thing to be doing no matter what. And you say that it's for her health, but that's just not a good excuse. You found out that they're a kid and you're still going to their house. That's just weird, man. That is just absolutely insane. And on top of that, you said that she would frequently draw NSFW art of her and my characters in provocative and very explicit positions and have been doing so randomly over the course of several months. When I found out that I asked her to stop posting and creating that art as it makes me feel uncomfortable and was done so without my permission or my knowledge, she slowly reduced how often she posted that content but did not fully stop until after I asked. There's so many plot holes to this part. Number one, why didn't you tell her to fully stop right off the bat? Number one, she's a kid. She should not be drawing that type of content. That content is not meant for kids, and she should not be making that content, you know? Because that content is a little bit for adults on the adult side. She shouldn't be making that content because she is just a kid. And number two, I don't even know why you wouldn't tell her to stop at the beginning. Like, let's just say, you know, like, telling her to slow down with with that type of art is a good thing, right? Like, let's just say by some divine miracle, she was doing it to cure cancer or something like that. She still shouldn't be doing it regardless because she is making it of you. She is fantasizing about you, an adult, as a kid. You should have told her to just fully stop regardless. Like, if those drawings were curing cancer, then you should have been the one drawing them. You should have been the one learning how to, you know, draw this type of art and start drawing it out so that way you could cure stuff for cancer. Like, it's still weird regardless. There's so many plot holes to this that I don't understand why you would be, you know, doing any of this whatsoever behind the scenes. And third of all, a Google Doc? Really? You had so much time to look up the law, so much time to really revise and edit this weird, pathetic piece of crap, and you still admitted to it at the end of the day, which really goes to show you can never really hide from anything. So if there is a takeaway that all of you should take away, it would be that your past would come up to haunt you, okay? And if you've done some irredeemable stuff, then you should try your best to just change for the better immediately, ASAP. This is why you don't put things off to the last minute. Because number one, it's going to catch up to you eventually. It's inevitable. You're still going to have to deal with it. And number two, you're never going to be able to hide from your past. The only thing you can do is just embrace it and softly put a bullet through its skull while your past looks at a meadow peacefully and just put it down as quietly as you can and try and be a better person, right the wrongs you have done. And yeah, that just really goes to show that you can't really hide from anything no matter what. Like, look at Zyph, for example. He just admitted to a lot of weird stuff, and this came from him himself, and have it all backed up and have proof that it's his as well, so he can't really hide from this either. So anyways, yeah, that's really about it. That's all I have to say. Overall, Zyph is a freaking menace at the very least. And yeah, that's really about it. Pack God video is gonna come tomorrow. I can't really find anything on this guy still. I'm going on a manhunt looking for Pack God criticisms, but he's just cringe. Like, that's all I can really find on him. Sorry, chat. But anyways, yeah, I hope you'll have a good day. and bye.